Okay, welcome back, everybody. Another session of the weekly webinar. I'm going to start, as usual, at the top, looking at the equity indexes. And we can see this week was a pretty interesting week. It looked like at one point we were starting to really potentially break down. We were looking at this little back here a couple of weeks of a high, lower high again, and potentially, looking like we might want to attack the low under here. And sure enough, we hit some higher time frame stuff, which I'll point out. Most of us were in that long trade over there when I called it back a couple of days ago. And obviously, massive rejection. You can see now at 2 weeks in a row, we're rejecting the lows down here. And that's looking like this. When we come to the daily chart, right, we had this little potential breakdown with a little downtrend forming, lower low, lower high. But we came back into this daily demand. It was fresh demand down here on the 240, way outside the Bollinger Bands, and then the rocket ship right back out, telling us that this is done. The sell-off is finished. Looking for this week, a shot back up into, I want to say, somewhere around 2750. This demand zone over here, the supply up here is where the target is going. We can see that, right? We've hit the beginning of the zone a couple of weeks back. We sold off and we made a higher low. And therefore, we should be making a higher high. Looking for something up here is the target. Let's take a look down here on this 240 chart. So there's the demand that we had marked off. That was really what was giving me the signal that it was time to, to get long under here. We were way outside, into this area of demand, and we picked off the bottom pretty much on a lower time frame, and we were able to rally out of there. And now we're looking at a lot of air up here. You see all this. We've broken through this resistance area. We're hitting a 60 level over here. I'll show it to you in a minute, and we should be able to break through that. Could we get a little pushback and then something like that? Probably. But again, for now, easily 2,700. I mean, that's just like almost a given that we should be at 2,700, potentially even by tomorrow. I'm thinking we might even be able to see 2,750 by the end of this week. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But no question about the direction. The direction is definitely up this week. And we're looking for, let's see, a chance to where we can sort of get back in if you haven't been in it yet. Let's take a look up here. Here's our 60 chart. And on ES, what are we looking at? Well, you can see that we're in the air. I mean, that's pretty much clear, right? We just, we're banging against this thing here at the end of the day. So, could we get a little, something like this? That's probably likely, and you could see where, there's be some area up here with a little pause is going to happen. So there's going to be a chance to get back in, I want to say, sort of like the trend, but not really what we mean by trend, but what's been happening over the last few sessions, if you realize, is that early sell-off and afternoon rallies, right? So that's what we've been looking at, right? We were in this thing over here, and then, the big one over here, and this big bounce out of that. So that's what I think we're probably going to see tomorrow again. A little pullback early in the morning into some demand, and it's an opportunity for us to get long again. We'll have to wait and see what this looks like after the open, but we can see it. I mean, there's just air. It's all air up here. There's nothing here, right? Nothing. So, 2680 is another 2530 up, looking at something like that easily to get, again, the day level at 2700. We'll probably have some resistance up there, and we'll get a little pushback. I think it's just going to make another higher low. So if you're a swing trader, don't worry too much about it. And if you're a day trader, so you'll take profits up there and look for a re-entry after we create another higher low. After that, let's take a look up there on the 15 if we got anything that we want to pay attention to, and then I'll start taking questions on the S. Okay, zoom out a little bit. We got some demand sitting back there, 2646 and change. That looks pretty nice. This is something that we hit on a 15-minute level on Friday that started a massive rally after the open. That's it. So you can see really there's nothing up here too much to worry about. This thing we've already hit. It's not there anymore because we've broken through it, right? This little resistance / supply area. We've already taken that out. We're back testing already. You can see that. So, we're going to catch it here. Somewhere over here, we're going to get a little pullback and another higher high coming. All right, and that's what we're looking for. So longs on ES this week. Target 2,700 and then 2,750. Okay, if anybody has a question, go ahead. You can ask now. Raise your hand. Who do we got up there? Eddie. What's up, Ed? How you doing, man? What's going on down there in Florida? How you doing, buddy?
Hi.
Good.
Good, good. Can you put out enlarge your 60 minutes for a sec?
Yeah, sure. Hold on, let's get this out of the way. Boom. Go ahead.
Okay.
Zoom out. You want me to zoom in, zoom out? What do you want me to do?
No, no, it's perfect like that.
Okay.
The reason you're not looking at the 2680 is because you're looking kind of larger tame. Like you're expecting some reaction at 2680, but a pullback.
Yeah, pause, a little pause, and a little
higher.
That's correct.
Because there's going to be some kind of reaction at 2680.
100% agree. There's going to be something here. I don't think it's going to be too much because really, we're already having a base here.
No, I'm looking at the one that's lower, the 2680, because you're saying there's air.
Oh, this here?
Yeah.
Nothing there. Nothing at all. I mean, pause, and we're going to pop through that. There's really hardly
So you don't think any pullback, even on a 50? Pullback.
A small pullback. That might be something that we want to use to get into. Hold on one second. What's the matter, honey? No, that might be something you want to use as a pullback to get into, into a long tomorrow. You get something small. It's not something I'm concerned about getting, hammered, through any demand zone at all.
Yeah, no, that was my question. Like for you, 2685 is like a target, basically.
Yeah, exactly. This is like a target up here.
Right.
Even this, for a short-term trade. If you're talking about a bigger-term trade over here, even this is nothing. It's an add-on opportunity. You're going to get a pullback. You're going to hit demand. You're going to add on and go again. Go for the next move up.
Yeah, no. Okay. The reason I asked that is because you have two targets. One's a break-even. One's your ultimate. I usually
That's correct.
Yeah, I usually get three. I get enough so that I have a T1, then I have a T2 that's a decent.
Two, and then a T3. Okay, right.
And
okay,
then
so
T3 is the one I let it run, and if I lose it all, I don't give a hoot.
Okay, right. So I would tell you if you're looking at just like a 1 or 2 day trade, 2,700 probably is the way you're looking at. And if you're looking at like a little bit longer than that, I would say we really have a chance at 2,750 this week.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. You got it, man. Next. Cool. Okay. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm going to move on. All right. Let's go take a look at NASI. What the NASDAQ is looking like. Okay. Cool. Oops. Roll quick. There we go. All right. So on the NASDAQ, again, obviously, this one looks even a little stronger. We were able to actually get above the prior week's highs, which we couldn't do on the ES. We never got down anywhere near the lows. And there's just, again, a ton of air up here. Look to the left. There's nothing here. Right? These wicks up here cleared out whatever lower time frame garbage was there, and we're just, aiming for the top at this point. There is one daily supply zone up here that we have to look at now. I'm going to get there in a minute, but, again, the direction seems to be up over here clearly. Again, we could see that on the, the weekly chart. We just, made an all-time high, and we pulled back. We made a higher low. And we turn around again, and we're going to make another, higher high, which means, this chart is pointing to all-time highs. That's what we're talking about, new all-time highs for the NASI. Okay, and that's pretty much what I believe is going to happen. It isn't going to happen this week, but we have to clear this garbage out of our face. Obviously, there is definitely supply here. And on the lower time frame, there's actually something a drop above, right around 7,000, obviously, right? Because it's a round number, and we got all these little shoulders on this side. There's something up here. So I'm thinking for this week, that's probably the target for NASDAQ, somewhere around 7,000. Could we turn around a little before in this area? Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely fresh, strong supply. Just realize that we should get through this only because, again, when we hit that level, we pulled back and we built a higher low again. And we're turning around and coming back to the zone. We should have a higher high. Does it mean we're going to get through the zone up to 7,000? I can't answer that just yet. Are we going to get through this pivot? Most likely. Most likely. All right, so, somewhere up here is a good target for profits. That's what we're looking for again. So we'll look on lower time frames to see any areas for pullbacks, into some demand that we can use to get up into those levels for a long trade, okay? So here's our 240, and this one I said, I think I tweeted this out on Friday where we were long to close your longs over here. Because, again, this is fresh supply. We did hit, pretty close to it, and we had the higher low. But again, it was Friday afternoon. We were outside the Bollinger Bands, and we're up into this supply level. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of a push down, sort of back test to this area that we broke through over here, right? On the lower time frame, there's going to be demand over there. We'll have to see, but somewhere under here, in here is where the long is going to be sitting for us to make that next pop up. Okay. So let's go see where that's looking like. NASDAQ. So there's the first one. Yeah, so there's the breakout of the prior little resistance area over here. It's coming in somewhere over here. There's demand before it on the 60 chart. So maybe on the 15 we'll find something a little bit lower down. But for now, that's really all we have over here. Let me just zoom out and see where overhead supply is sitting at for us. Okay, there we go. So that's pretty fresh. So we're looking at like 6,800, you know, and then back up here, 6,850. So the round numbers are where it's looking like it's sitting right now. Let's get some higher levels as well, because I'm pretty sure we're going to get through most of that stuff. Yeah, so there's the first really fresh level up here at 6,900, basically, right? And then it's 7,000. So that's what we're looking at. I think this one is attainable very easily. 7,000 is a little bit of a stretch, but very possible, depending on what happens as we come into some of these levels over here. For now, it's just, you know, use this supply to buy the pullbacks into the demand zone. So if we shoot up into this tonight, you know, sit tight, don't do anything, wait till the morning. We'll probably get a test somewhere over here, you know, around the opening bell on a pushback into some demand that we're going to use to rally up through the top. You can see this actually, looks like this actually extends back even further. I didn't draw it back there, but it looks like it does. Yeah, it does. Pretty clear that was the little bottom, and now we're breaking through. So yeah, first level supply, we can back test to the breakout area somewhere over here, maybe a little bit lower. We'll see on a 15-minute chart in a minute, but that's it. You know, we're going to be clearing out these supply zones. Use them to push yourself back and buy yourself, you know, some demand down here. That's what we're looking for the NASDAQ over here. Let's go take a look at the 15-minute chart. And there's a really nice doji sitting right there underneath a little base around 73.20. And then, you know, there's something over here, I think on the 15. We'll take a look at it over here when it was breaking out of this little area back here. Again, I don't think we're going to get that far back into these areas. We're more than likely going to push up a little bit and then come back and test something like this around the open. They love to do this where, you know, it bases all night, it gets up a little higher, and then around the open they just stop all the overnight guys out, they land in some fresh demand, and then they just rocket ship out of the zone. That's what I would be looking for tomorrow morning, okay, for a chance into the NASDAQ. Let's take some questions. We got a couple of them here. First of the week. Go ahead, man. What's up?
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Good. What's going on, buddy?
Good. Can you go to 60 minute? And just more of a technical question. Can you just blow it up a bit?
Sure.
I'm kind of drawing my zone by taking the base of a doji and the, you know, the big candle that
the supply or demand you're talking about. Which zone you're talking about?
Demand 67.41. So I just want to know where.
Right. Yeah. So this was just wrap the doji base for a minute. That's what I did over here. Right. It's one of the small enough that, you know, that I will just wrap the doji. If you want to just do this and this, you know, limiting your risk, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Or
now can you pull the distal line?
Yeah. So you want to do this. I understand. You want to do this, right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean,
that's picking up this little back area over here. I think on the 15, did I put this over here on the 15? We have to go look. But when I see dojis like this, I tend to just like, I want to wrap that sucker. It looks like my distal line is your proximal line type of thing. But again, remember, for me, most of the time I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm not going to hit this zone with an order until it actually turns around on a lower time frame. I want to watch this and flip it, right? And but yeah, there's, you know, you're doing this to protect your risk. If you're, let's say, a swing trader and you're not at your desk, I would tell you you're going to draw it like this. I agree with you. Actually, like this, right?
Yeah, that's what I did.
You're gonna set and forget your order. You want it somewhere in here. You want your stop under here. Yeah. But if you're at your desk, so you're going to really start watching it turn over here. That's what I'm going to do. Okay.
Okay. Super. Thanks.
Good. No problem. Next, Nitin. What's up, man? Your mic is on, Nitin. You have a question?
Yeah. So just a general observation that I've been hearing, you know, in news is that sell in May and go away. Is that some credence behind that, or just?
So that's just a bunch of crap. Personally, I think we're actually going to see the all-time highs of the year this summer. In general, they like to say that because the summer tends to be less volatile, right? The markets tend to be a little sleepy. People go on vacation. There's not as much volume, so they tell you, so it may go away type of thing because it's not really going to move around. I think we're actually going to see the year highs, the high of the year in the summer. July, August, and then we're going to just start turning over. And I think by, October, we're in deep shit. But for now, it's just all-time highs on the way. Don't worry about May. Just sit back and, think about getting into the long trades for now. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
You got it. Next. Eddie Cohen, what's up, my man? You're back again. Go ahead. Talk to me. Eddie.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
No problem. Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
General question. Very often you always say, I'm going to watch it, I'm going to see a turnaround on a smaller time frame.
Yep.
Now, the obvious one is when everything's an uptrend, you're going to do a 2-minute. And when everything's a downtrend, you're going to do a 15-minute. But
usually correct. But when they're in between...
But most of the time, when they're in between, like, what are you looking at? 2, 5, 15?
Right.
Like, what
So, it's a great question. So, it depends on, like, how much resistance I have overhead. Like if there's a lot of air, we just had a big collapse, and I'm watching the bottom form, I'll just take the first opportunity, even on a small time frame, because the risk to reward ratio will play out for me because I have a lot of air up above. But if it's choppy up on top of me and I don't have a lot of room, I want to wait for a minimum of a 5-minute zone, a 5-minute uptrend, minimum. You know what I mean? So I'll be more aggressive when there's more profit potential, and less aggressive when there's not that much profit potential.
When do you do 15?
So,
I mean, I know on V bottoms you do 15.
So 15, yeah, I know. So you have to realize like this. Like, you know what? Let me just give an example because I think this is a great question, and it's a great education opportunity that Eddie's asking. So I'm going to give a little education now. This is not trading advice at all, but I'm going to talk about the bottom forming and how we want to trade that. Okay, and when to look at the 2 and when to look at the 5, and what happens as we have a bottom forming.
Or 15 for that matter. Or 15.
All of them. I'm going to put you on mute for a second, Eddie. Actually, you know what? Just mute yourself. If you have a question about what I'm saying, if you have a question about what you're saying, you can unmute yourself and then ask. But I'm just going to draw for a second. Think about this, right? Price is selling off, and we hit some demand. Okay, and assume for a minute now that we're in an uptrend on the 60 still. Okay, and as we make this move down, the 2, the 5, and the 15 all flip into downtrends, even though the 60 is still up. Okay, and I want to be long because for me a day trade, this is my trend time frame. Okay, whatever the 60 is doing, that's what I want to do. And Eddie's asking a question. Okay, I say let's watch for the lower time frame reversal when I come into a demand zone. Which time frame am I talking about? Okay, that's his question. Am I talking about a 2? Am I talking about a 5? Am I talking about the 15? What are we saying? And I want just people to understand this. It's really important. It's simple when I say it to you, but you don't. I think most people don't recognize that this is what's going on. The smaller the time frame you're looking at, the more times trend will flip. So the 2-minute trend will change multiple times within a day. Okay, and the bigger as you increase time frame, those trends don't flip as often. So being that we're in a uptrend on the 60 and I want to be long, right, which means there was a pullback, almost 100% chance that the 2 was in a downtrend when that happened, because that's the smallest time frame. And when we're going to start turning trend around, the one that's going to turn around first is the smallest time frame. After the 2 turns, then the 5 will turn, then the 15 will turn, and then we're all back in the same direction as the 60. And so when I'm trying to catch a trade back in the direction of the higher time frame trend, I'm always going to try to catch the 2, providing that there's enough room to get it. Okay, because sometimes on the way down, even in the 2, we're doing stuff like this, right? Drop, base, drop, base, drop, right? And the first level of supply is sitting like right in front of my face. Okay, so when that's happening, well, first of all, we never want to enter a trade. Doesn't matter your time frame. When you're taking your trigger, you never want to enter the trade against the trend on the trigger chart. So if the 2 is your trigger and you want to go long, you better make sure that the 2 is in an uptrend. You don't want to enter along with the trigger time frame still in a downtrend, because that's stupid, right? Because in order for it to go in the direction of your trade, there has to be still a pullback and then a rally. So why are you going to assume that where you are is where price is going to turn out? You're trying to pick the bottom off. So you don't want to do that. You want to allow the 2-minute chart to turn its trend, which means it's going to rally up, hit the first level of supply, pull back, and make that first higher low. That's why you always see me tweeting out higher low, right? That's telling you, hey, that's the beginning of the change in trend. Okay, so answering Eddie's question, I'm going to answer your question.
Hold on,
Eddie.
before you go on to the next one. That what you just said about the 2-minute. Let's say it goes past the first supply, it goes to the second or third supply. Excellent. I love it. Okay, great question. As supply zones break, the zone above it becomes stronger. Okay, so let's say it breaks the first one. More than likely, it should give you that higher low after the second one. And guess what? You know where it's going to go when that happens? So we have this, let's say, right here. Let's say this is the first level of supply, right? And we're coming into it. And let's say it breaks. The price goes here. What will happen? This just became the demand zone. We're going to hit the next level of supply. The higher low should form right here. Right? And that's okay. You let it go. When you're looking for a turnaround, when that happens, are you looking for it on a demand zone that you create yourself below, or you don't give a hoot as soon as
I don't give a shit where it is. I need the first. I need the first higher low. I don't care how the higher low is formed.
And then any twin towers anywhere, twin towers anywhere you go in?
Anything at all. Even this level being held as over here, twins, engulfing, hammer candle, whatever happens in the first demand zone, that's when you want to get long.
Okay, right? But that's what I'm saying.
Again, the assumption is
you create a demand zone. That's what I'm saying. Once you get up above, you make a demand zone, and you want it to get there before it does anything. If you have any twins or anything in a no man's land, you're not interested.
That is correct. Exactly true. It has to come back here to the demand zone. Okay.
Now you can answer the heart of the meat of the
question.
Now,
great. Right. So again, okay. So this is all intro to the part that you're asking. So this will start my trade for me on a 2-minute chart, assuming that there is enough room for me over here to get my risk off. Okay, and again, because the 60 is in an uptrend, I want to be long. If I can get it off on a 2-minute chart, I will take the trade off the 2-minute chart. Okay, but you have to realize that when the 2-minute chart is done that higher low, it's very possible that the 5-minute chart is still in a downtrend. And what happens? What's going to happen is we're going to reach a next level or 5-minute supply, and then we're going to pull back again. Okay, and the pullback sometimes will stop you out of this original trade. Okay, because you're going to get a pullback to flip the trend on the 5. So you took your risk off, you had T1, and now you're getting the pullback. It's possible, it doesn't always happen, but it's possible that the pullback on the 5 will knock you out. Why? Because when I'm pulling up my stop to remove my risk, I might have pulled it too close to current price, and now the little pullback on the 5 to create the higher low is knocking me out of the trade. If that does happen, you now have to watch the 5 for a re-entry, because that's what's supposed to happen. The trend will change on the 2 first, then the 5, and that's what? I was able to catch the 5 after it knocked me out. The same thing is going to happen on the 15 again. Because when the 15 has to turn its trend around, it's going to get to 15 supply. It's going to pull back again to create the higher low for the 15 chart. It's possible that that 15 pullback will knock you out of your 5-minute entry. But guess what? If it turns around again, take it again. So what you did was you got T1, you got stopped out. You should be okay. You got T1, you got stopped out. You should be okay. After the 15 is done, that's it. Now you're turning back around the 15, we're moving to the next level of the 60. That's the biggest trade, okay? And that's always going to be the biggest trade. So why do I want to take the 2 and the 5 if I'm going to get knocked out anyway? And why don't I just wait for the 15? Sometimes the pullback won't knock you out, and you're getting a much lower entry. Or when the pullback doesn't knock you out of your 2-minute trade, you use the pullback on the 5 to add on. and then you got a double position, and you come to the 15, and it pulls back again. It doesn't knock you out. You add on again, and you take it up, and now you have a nice position running up into the 60 level.
Now all your stops stay individually on each trade independent of each other.
Exactly correct. That is absolutely true.
So
the
now
2-minute stop would be here, and the 5-minute stop would be here, and the 15-minute stop was supposed to be where it's supposed to be, and the target for all of them is the opposing zone on the 60.
Okay. One last question. Now your 60 is on an uptrend, but quite often when you get the moves you're talking about, where you're going to actually look at the 2-minute and have space, it's because you have a massive move down. When you have a massive move down on a 60, let's say you get a lower low. For you, it doesn't mean anything. As long as on the way back up, it doesn't make a lower high, correct?
Okay, so let's talk about what Eddie's saying. I'm just going to draw it on the chart over here. Ready, Eddie? We go like this.
Exactly.
Right here.
Exactly. Right.
Okay? That's what you're asking. Okay?
Right.
This is an uptrend. Okay? Or assume for this is on, and I get a big pullback over here. As long as it's a straight shot down, this is not a change of trend. This is still an uptrend, okay, pulling back into demand. We've broken through a demand zone, but that just makes the next level stronger. What would be a problem is what Eddie mentioned before, is when it does this. Then you have an issue. That's going to be a change in trend. Lower high, lower lows, now I have an issue. So as long as it just pulls back straight, no problem, Eddie. Okay? If it
and then when it goes down, straight, you want it to make a new high on the 60-minute. Otherwise, if it curls
that is
to
correct.
the top, then you're going to have a change in trend.
So when let's say it does this,
you're going to get out of trade.
That's correct. If it pulls back like this, and I'm able to catch the turnaround on the lower time frames over here, it better make a new high over here. Otherwise, I'm out. Done.
All right. Thanks.
Right? You got it. Okay? And that's when we talk about, Eddie, the V-bottom rules. Right? You expect the pullback to happen over here at the top. You want to see a higher low, and then you'll add back on. So you want to get out over here, get back in over here. Why do you do that? Because I don't know if it's going to turn around. It may just hit the top and go like this.
But I've heard you sometimes say, look, it's a V bottom. On a V bottom, you want to see a 15-minute lower.
Higher low. Higher low.
So therefore, you're going to wait until you get a green 15-minute candle after a bunch of red ones, and as soon as that happens, you're going to presume that that's your low.
That is the higher low, and then get back in. This is what I want you to do.
As soon as you get a twin tower on a 2-minute or something, you're in.
That is correct. That's exactly the trade that I called on the equity this week. That's exactly what happened. But yes, that's what we're talking about. Yep. Okay. So that's the end of our little education session. Anyone have a question? Go ahead. Yes. Yes,
Joe.
Yes,
Joe.
ma'am. Go ahead.
I think this is a great example of what happened to the currencies on the jobs number this past Friday. The price just pulled back strongly, made a little slightly lower low, and then rallied.
That's correct.
So it was not technically a downtrend, but just a deeper pullback into that 60-minute uptrend.
Let's take a look there. Yep. So uptrend, you mean downtrend on most of the currencies, I'm assuming, but right, yeah. So, yeah, you're talking about over here on the jobs number right
that
here.
Jobs number made a lower low.
Down.
Yeah, straight shot down.
Straight shot down. It doesn't change, even though we peaked up above over here, it doesn't change the trend. True.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay. All right, great. Let's move on. If someone has a question, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to move into crude. Okay. So, crude had a really interesting week. We were some selling in the beginning of the week, and then just a massive turnaround. I keep saying I'm expecting this pullback, and crude is still not, cooperating just yet. I think we're really driven by news. We need to realize that. I think it has a lot to do with Iran this week, especially we got the 12th coming up, where that's the cutoff date for the United States to decide if they're going to to extend this nuclear treaty nonsense with Iran. And there's just about a 0% chance that it's actually going to be extended at this point. I think Trump would look like an idiot, after all his his campaign promises about tearing up the Iran nuclear deal. There's no way that he's going to extend it, especially after we had Netanyahu come out with all proof about Iran's intentions, about the nuclear crap and all that stuff. There's about a 0% chance, I think, that Trump is going to extend the treaty, and therefore, the oil markets, I think, are starting to price that out. And I'm really myself a little spooked about what's going on over here, because I'm just going to move this around a little bit and show you what the hell is going on over here. We got a massive engulfing candle on the weekly chart over here. Right? We had a doji the prior week, and we end up with this engulfing candle. Okay, and that's showing a ton of bullishness because we were up here in the supply zone, right near 70 right away. Right, we got like I think up to 69.98 maybe or something like that, really close to 70. And within a massive engulfing candle. This is pointing to tremendous bullishness, but you know the next supply zone is $4 away. There's nothing here. I'm going to start walking you through the lower time frames. Even on a 60 chart, there is no supply here. It's empty. It's just air. And that means that what? We're going to $74 before we ever backtest this whole uptrend over here? I can't see it happening. The only way it can happen is a news event, which is what's poised for this week. We're looking at tremendous risk in oil this week. You got to be really careful. There is a lot of money to be made to the upside and potentially a massive pullback on the downside. So I'm going to walk you through the zones that, that I'm seeing here, but we got to be really careful this week with what's going on in the headlines. If you ask me what to expect, I think we're going to see a big squeeze up. Remember, if we go through 70, you can imagine how many stops are up at 70, and you can imagine how many shorts are waiting up at 70. If they get through 70, which is what we're looking at over here, that we got damn close on Friday, there is just air, and we will just see a total short squeeze melt up all the way to 73, 74, and then I think a huge sell-off. So it's like maybe, I think the 12th is like the end of the week. The beginning of the week, tremendous pressure, pushing up, and then they announce it, and then it's already priced in anyway, and then it's all, it's type of, buy the rumor and sell the news. That's what we're looking at, I think, and a big pullback. So where do we end crude next week? I have no freaking clue. All I know is that there is a tremendous risk trading crude this week if you're looking at any longer time frames. Okay, so be very, very careful. Let me just go over there and start showing you some of the zones. Okay, so take a look here first on the daily chart. Okay, there's our little how high do we get? High of the week. 97 we got to. Okay, and on a daily chart. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, let's drag down. Where's the next supply zone? 73. All right, let's go look to the left, see what there is up there. See what the zone is there. Oops, there it is. Okay, so you can see over here that this is the zone that we're banging against, and what's above us? Ain't nothing there. It's air. Look, you can see it. Right, that's the next level. So we got a problem up here. If crude pops this thing, it's going, well, it's not a problem. I mean, we just got to pay attention that there's a very good chance that we're just blowing through 70 and heading all the way to 73. Okay? Okay, let's go back over there. Let's take a look on the 240. All right, you could see on the 240 we're up into the air already. We had a big pop. We're outside the Bollinger Bands, but we're not really at a supply zone, so this could keep going. It should have some kind of backtest to this. We were banging around over here for like a week and a half, so there should be something, and then something like that. Okay, but again, I want to just scroll up and show you if there's nothing here. I'm going to go one time frame at a time, and we're just looking at a ton of air up here. Okay. 73, again, 73, that's where the zone is. Okay, there's nothing here. I'm going to go back to the 240 again, and you'll see, there's just air. It's just air. There we go. Look, we're trading over here at 70. There's nothing here. It's just, boom, straight up. So there is a very, very large risk for crude shorts here. If you're short, oh boy, I feel bad for you. Okay, you get the hell out. You're gonna get killed. Okay, let's take a look over here on the 60. So there's the Friday rally, right? The only breakout area that's anything is somewhere over here at 69 change on a 15-minute chart. There's a zone. This level on the 60 is like level on level back over here. So for me, I ignore the first zone. If we should shoot up higher, on the open tonight or something like that, we will have another demand zone right over here, right around 69.50. Depends what happens up here. Okay. So we'll have to keep our eye over here. If we start breaking up beyond 70, we want to be long. There's just no stopping of this thing. Okay. Let's look up here. Where's the next supply zone on the 60 chart? $73. Again, there's nothing here. There's just nothing. Okay. So again, very, very large risk to the shorts. Okay. Look for a pullback. If we start making higher lows again, you want to get into the trade. There's the level that's the breakout area on the 15 I was talking about over here. And that's it. That's what we're looking at. There's not much else. Okay. So if I have to pick a direction, early strength in crude this week, potentially all the way up to 73. And then I think once we make the final announcement, it's sell the news type of thing, and we'll have to wait for the lower time frames to start showing some weakness. I'm very reluctant to say that we're breaking all the way to 73 without a pullback, but again, it's a news event. So if it was not, let me back up for a second. If we were not going to have this whole Iran thing this week, I would say we're ready to pull back on crude. We have way overextended. We're breaking out into the air. There should be a pullback. We're at 70, something we haven't traded at in 3-4 years. But I'm smelling like death for the shorts. I think we're going to see a tight squeeze, and I think we're going to have a chance to see 73. So go ahead, Nateem. You have a question, man?
So Joe, on the 15-minute, that small doji before the two big green candle,
okay, I think what you're talking about
on the 15.
Yeah, you're talking about this?
No, come down.
This?
Right there. So
yeah,
ignoring
so this is level on level.
Okay.
On level.
Okay, got it.
Okay, no problem. Eddie, what's up, man?
What's the news you're talking about? Is that the announcement on Iran?
Yeah, I'm talking about Trump deciding to cancel the Iran nuclear deal.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Put
the sanctions back on. Thursday,
it can be any time. It can be any time by the 12th or something.
The deadline is the 12th. So that's when it expires. It expires on the 12th, and he could announce at any time before then that he's not going to extend it. You know what I mean? So it's total news. Okay. Yep. Okay. Fine. Jeff. Yeah, man. What's up, Jeff? Yeah,
hey, Joe.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, I was just going to make an observation just with Iran, and be crazy to get $6, but on that monthly chart, the 61 fib is right at 76.30. So just if it goes crazy, keep an eye on that.
Yeah, up here on the monthly you're talking about.
Yeah, 76.30 is the 61 fib.
Off the bottom you're talking about.
Yeah.
76.30. It looks like it's probably somewhere around the bottom over here, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Just to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's very possible. That's what I'm saying. 73, we've got air all the way to 73 even on the lower time frames. You know what I mean? So if there's something crazy going on, for sure, who the hell knows? We'll find out, because again, a news event is something we can't predict. The chart is showing bullishness. I would normally be telling us at this point, because of where we are, we should see a pullback. And I'm saying, who the hell knows? We could be breaking out another $3 to the upside easily over here. So keep your eyes on it. Be careful. And if it does start to go, don't fight it and try to pick the top. Just buy and just get out when we get near the supply zone. Okay? That's it for crude. Anybody else have a question? Go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to move on to gold. All right, gold. What do you got? So, wow, we're going overtime today. That's okay, cool. So, gold, again, we know we've been watching this wedge forever. We had resistance up here. I was talking about a breakdown. We did get below over here, this little basing area that was going on at the top, and we got a pullback. So, that's looking like this on our daily charts, right, after I've been talking about getting short gold. And we're looking for, at this point, a little back test, right? We got down to 1,300. Testing the 200 moving average on the daily chart. We got below this last, low that was in our top. And you can, look for a back test here, or here. I think I'm not so sure we're getting this one. I think we're only going to backtest to here. Around 1320 or so, there's another shortcoming. We should be taking this down over here, and then somewhere over here on the lower time frame, we'll look for the big move that's going to get us up through the top. For now, where you could see that we've already turned around on the daily chart. At least the bleeding has stopped. We got a nice reversal pattern over here, right? And we've got some air still above us. So this level is pretty much a given that we're going to test it. I think that's the one that's going to get us turning over again. And then, you know, we should make a new low. We'll have a lower high again and then a lower low. And we're, you know, looking for somewhere around 1260 or so is the zone I think I was talking about. We'll go look at it again. But for now, you know, early strength in gold. And then, you know, weakness as we make our way up into that supply zone. So here's the level that I'm talking about. Yeah, it's around 1325 to 28 or so. You could see it here. We did sort of test it. This is where it was created. Drop base, drop here. We back tested it, but we did break down a lot further after that, and therefore the zone is still valid. It is right way outside the Bollinger Bands on the 240. So if we shoot up into this area, which we technically should, because you can see that we touched the supply over here, right, that was sitting over here, and we made a higher low, so we come back, we break through there. That's the level that we should be reaching that will cause the problems. And again, depending on what happens as we get there, right, if we start to go straight up into the zone, I think we're going to push back pretty hard, probably take out this and potentially this. However, if we don't do that and we start doing stuff like this, right, then we're probably going to get through here, and that's the second zone on the daily chart that I showed you, you know, the higher one. So that's the first daily zone, that's the second daily zone. Depending on how we get up here, we'll know what to do. Straight shot in there, short. If it starts basing, wait for a pullback by the long, and then, you know, expect for it to get here. Okay, that's what we're looking at on gold. So there still should be some continued strength on gold, you know, beginning of the week until we make our way up into these supply zones, and then we'll look for reversal patterns to start again. Okay, let's take a look at the lower time frame. There's a little first level up there. It looks like the 60 has two zones, little tight doji base, right? You can see that was a little reversal area. Sort of tried to get there, and then we ended up breaking down into the lows, so that's valid. That's the other one up there. So it's two levels on the 15, right? No, 60, and then the higher zone is up there as well. I already pointed it out. So that's what we're looking at for gold. You can see that, you know, getting through this pivot shouldn't be much of a problem. We hit the supply. There's the higher low. We're turning around already. We should get through this sucker, no problem. There's the supply zone waiting here, and then we'll have to watch what happens as we get up there. So again, early strength, and then, you know, as we make our way up there, we should start to see some major pullbacks coming on gold. Good. Questions? Go ahead. That guess. So we've been really banging around for the last, I don't know how long. It looked like we were ready to go last week, and sure enough, no, not again. We started, you know, rallying up early in the week, and then we just made this first lower high after that, especially after this reversal pattern going on. We had that like evening star candle sitting over there, chance to blow through the top, and it just died the next day, and then making lower highs and lower lows. We're back at a downtrend over here, and we're sitting in the freaking air. So there is no way we're going to rally out of this thing right where we are. It's more than likely going to break down. You can see that, you know, this doji over here was 240 doji. We were long in this sucker, and then we ended up getting stopped out because we kept pulling up our stop that day, again, because I knew we were sitting in this supply, if you remember. We ended up stopped out, and then we never really got a decent chance to get back in, and ended up flipping trend, and we don't want to be long anymore. At this point, it's short until we get all the way down here. Probably going to start turning around down there again, but for now, there are no more longs for nat gas. Sell supply until we reach down to 26.50 or so, another 50, 60 ticks down. Okay. Take a look here on the 60. We're sitting sort of inside this wedge, and we're just chewing our way down. All right, there's the 2700 level. We've hit it, bounced up, hit it again, lower high. It's going to break. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a gap down tonight on nat gas open, you know, somewhere down into this 2650 zones over here. You know, after that, actually, I didn't draw supply up here yet. I'll have to draw some supply. After we break this bottom, I'll point out some of the levels. There should be one over here. Right here, that's the supply up here, right? That's for this sucker over here, and then we're going to have some wicks against the wall over here. It looks like this. Supply over here. Should be drawing it on the body of the candles here. And then this is just, yeah, like this. Pick this wick up. Right? So there's 3 levels of supply sitting up here on the 60 chart. And again, there's going to be it's a tough ride up over here. We're clearly in a downtrend again. We don't want to be long. We want to be selling supply. So rally into supply is a short for now. Okay, and there isn't really any fresh zones. I mean, this is the only one that looks really nice up here. You could see it up there on the 15. That one looks great. So if we get up there, pull the trigger. I'm going to be pulling the trigger up there for the short. But other than that, we're just going to leave this alone until it bottoms out and see if we're ready to get long. So that's really the only decent trade I see right here for nat gas up there at the short. See it? Okay. There we go for nat gas. Let's go into just a quick look at the dollar, what it's doing, what we should anticipate. So give us a little, feeling for what the currencies are going to be doing this week. The monster rally, I think, on our dollar is reached its peak. It's time for us to see a little pullback. Pretty sure we need to come and back test this area. You can see that we broke through like a weekly supply zone over here. That's why I took it off. But that means there's daily demand sitting over here, and we should get a back test into that zone right around 91. Well, there's the zone on the daily chart. It looks like 91 is sitting over here. We actually have 2 zones, one before 91 and one at 91. Okay. So there's the supply. We see we back tested all the way to this former top that we had sitting over here. Right, and we rallied up, we broke down, and then we built this whole bottom. It took a couple of months to do. Finally get to move back to test this breakout area, and that should give us the back test. If this is a real rally, that should get us over here. We need a higher low. Okay, after this big breakaway from the basing area, you see that this was supply that turned into demand. It's sitting right around 91. There's a little 91.50 over here as well. So, at least a pullback into here this week is what we're looking at. And that's why, continued, we should see strength in the euro. We should see strength in gold, right? Things that are trading against the dollar. We should see some strength because the dollar looks like it's ready to pull back a little bit. And then, we'll figure out what happens once it gets here. Again, I think it's going to turn around again after that and probably get up here. So that's why I'm saying early weakness, and then strength later in the week, and the opposite for the gold and the currencies. So we should be looking at longs in euro. It looks like over here, right? There's the zone that we hit on Friday, 240 supply up there around the NFP news, and then we come back and test the demand, and we're sort of building this little lower high. When you cut the wicks of the news off, you can do that, and you look at this little peak over here with a lower high. We're going to start to break down further into this 91 and change area. Somewhere down over here is where we should see the sell-off starting to end a little bit. Okay, so that being said, we can see that the euro has, gotten pretty much almost to the bottom of its weekly demand zone. And again, that means we should be looking for a bounce. So we got the Bollinger Bands there. We've got the 50 moving average on the weekly chart over there. We've landed in daily demand. You can see that it was a really nice zone. A pair of dojis in there, a big pop-up, and then the back test, and it's fresh, and we're landing in there. It's pretty much oversold, pretty strong. We're under the 200 moving average on the daily chart. So you got to expect a bounce back to test this area over here. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. For now, the trend is still down on the higher time frames, and we'll see if that's still true about some of the other time frames. But even on the 240, we're still down. Even though we do have a nice pair of twins, we should see a back test a little further into this area. A pullback with a higher low, and then the pop up into where I think we should be going, somewhere around 121. Okay, somewhere over here in this range is where we would say I think that we're looking for the euro this week. So potential long trade setting up over here if we get that higher low. Can I take the long now? That depends on the lower time frames. From a 240 perspective, I still need a higher low before I can take the long up there. Again, the 240 is a higher time frame trade. So, maybe we can start something like that on a lower time frame already. And the 60 does not look like an uptrend just yet, right? We still have lower highs and lower lows. We've hit the demand over here. We were in this long on Friday, based off the lower time frame, which I'll point out in a minute. Sort of what I was talking to Eddie before, and Naranjan, and some of our people that were asking about how we took the longs down here. We started the longs. We ended up closing it again. The V-bottom formation is finished here. The 60 needs a higher low to turn its trend around first, right? So there should be a pullback coming here off the V bottom that was here. And there's a couple of levels of demand that where we might expect that this pullback will turn around again to create the higher low. So the 60, it's probably somewhere sitting over here, 198. That's right around this zone over here in the 15-minute demand zone. It's right nice and tight underneath the bases. We see price pull back in there and start turning around. Take the long because the next level up. Look how far it is. Fresh supply is way up there. There's a very nice long trade starting here. Has the lower time frame trend changed? Absolutely. It started on Friday down here. There's our 2-minute chart. And we were in this part of the trade pretty much, right? We were looking for this part of the V over here. It started back here early in the morning. It was flagging around. There's the first higher low, then the higher high, right? Then we get up to the supply. This was the 5-minute zone, and it pulled back again. Made the next higher high, so at least the 5-minute turned itself into an uptrend, right? And the same for the 15 eventually, which I'll take you through it now in a second. There's the 5, right? And you see that the 5, even though the 2 down here started its uptrend in this area, the 5 was not an uptrend until here. Rallied, we took out this supply, and then we hit something else, and we pulled back, notice it went through this zone. It turned around over here. This is when I started calling for the longs. And it ended up, getting all the way back to the top pretty much, and that was the trade. So this is in an uptrend again. Here's our pivots, higher lows and higher highs. So the 5 turned its trend over here. So the entry for that was back over here after the 2 had already turned around. And you see this one actually, if you took the 2, you shouldn't have been stopped out of this one, right? And let's go look at the 15. I'll take your question in a second, Eddie. Right, the 15 is also in an uptrend, right? Higher low, higher high, uptrend. 60 is still not in an uptrend because all this on the 60 is just a rally-based rally. And now we're sitting over here on the 60. We know there should be a pullback. Guess what? We're at a supply. We know there the demand is sitting. That's the entry. When these pull back in here and we turn around over here, and when I say turn around, Eddie, I think I'm going to answer your question right now. When I say turn around over here, all I care about is the 2-minute chart now. That's it. Okay, assuming I drop right in here. Because I know what I'm looking for is the end of the bleeding of the 60. The 60 is going to start bleeding now. It needs a higher low. It has to sell off over here. And for that to happen, it's going to start selling off. You need, I can guarantee you, because it's impossible otherwise, that the 2-minute chart will be in a downtrend while this is making its back test. And the minute the 2-minute chart turns around to start going up, I'm going to say that that will be beginning of my higher low on the 60. I'm going to get long there, and the target is here. Okay? Now I'll answer your question. Go ahead. Yes,
I got a couple of them. Let's just go back to the 2-minute, the original 2 minutes.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
So if you're looking for a higher low and a higher high, you're not really interested. First of all, you're not interested until it breaks that supply zone that occurred around 8 o'clock on the way down. Okay, great.
This supply zone right here you're talking about. So first, yes.
Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care what happens below because basically you've got to get above the supply zone at least to have a higher high, right?
Right, because the air is here. This is where the money is up here.
I understand. Right? So you're not looking at the possibility of this trade until at least 9 o'clock in the morning where you break that 190 1970. Yeah. Okay. So now you're pulling back down. You probably would have got in and got stopped out, right? At that
I would have gotten in right here. Right. I definitely had T1 and I got stopped out.
Okay, for sure. That's what I want to know. Now your second.
I got T1. I would have got my T1 because over here this never made a lower high. My stop would have been under.
I get it.
T1 is off. I got stopped out over here, and now I'm going to look right here again.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at. Now you've stopped out, so you're going to go to the next level, and that's going to be that doji down there, somewhere around that area, and you're looking for it. So before you got out in that blue one, I'm just curious because I got in earlier than that, got stopped out, then I got in on those two on that engulfing. So
this one over here. You got in over here, right?
Yes, but before that, I got into the left. Look at the first twin. Yeah, right.
I got stopped out here myself. Okay, I got stopped out. By the way, no, I tweeted this. I tweeted this entry to go long, and then I said get back in. Check the tweets.
Well, I didn't even know, but I'm just following to see if I'm following.
Yeah, that's right. You did. I did.
Okay,
I did
fine.
the same
so
thing.
now the next one you're in, and basically, and that's giving you whatever it's giving you, and up to now you're still in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you go to the
no, I closed it before the weekend. I didn't hold it, but yeah, so you could technically still be in it. Yes, I didn't hold it over the weekend because the 60 wasn't in enough trend.
Forget weekend.
We're not enough trend on the high time.
Yeah, I know. I'm just reading the chart.
Yeah.
Let's say it's Wednesday or whatever this is happening.
You're still in. You're still in.
You're still in. Now,
yes.
Is your stop still all the way down at the original, or do you put it below, let's say, the 15 as soon as 15?
Yes. Yep. So now, where's my stop is your question, and now my answer is it's over here. It's under here.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So you've got an uptrend on a 15 now.
That's right. Now my stop is under here because I know the 60 needs the pullback here. So my stop's got to be under here, and I will use this as an add-on opportunity for me.
Right, and if it gets to 120.15 or 120.20, then you're going to move your stop to below the...
if it breaks up over here, my stop is going over here. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Now, one last little bit. Go to the 60 now.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
All right. On the 60, suppose that bases and then takes off from that base. You don't go back down. Do you consider that, let's just say it stays there exactly. It doesn't come back down or doesn't do anything. When it comes back down, if it comes back down, do you consider bases as like a pivot low for you to be, or it's...
Right, well, you're asking a similar question that you asked before. And what you're asking is, I'm going to restate your question differently. If it does this, is this an uptrend now?
No, not yet. What I'm asking is if it comes back down and goes below that base, are you going to consider that a lower low? In between the base and the pivot. Yeah, somewhere like a 119.70, let's say. Okay, wait. The price goes like this, it breaks out, and then it goes over here and turns around over here. Yes.
Like
are you going to consider this
this is the pivot. No, this is the pivot we're playing. This is actually a higher low.
Okay, so the base for you is not a low.
The base rally is not a low. No, it's not.
That's what I wanted to know.
It's a good one. I want to define this. Thank you for pointing that out. When I'm talking about a place of a pivot, there has to be a change of control. That's what I want to call it. Rally base rally is all buying. The selling that's going on in here is because these guys are fighting the buyers, but the buyers are still in control here. It needs to give me sustained selling and then a turnaround again to call that a pivot. So the rally base rally is not going to be a pivot low. It's going to just be a demand zone. Buyers in control the whole time. And therefore, when it turns around somewhere, anywhere before the bottom, that would be the higher low.
Yeah, your official low is 119.60, somewhere around there, and not the 119.95.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
Thanks.
Good. Jeff's got a question. Yes, Jeff.
Joe, when we see that reversal pattern on the 60 like we have on EC there, what percentage, roughly 20-40%, do you see a rally-based rally happen where it doesn't go back down and test after the 2, 5, and 15 already have?
Right. So it's a tough call to make. It depends really what happened over here. How much, I can't throw a number on it. This one in particular looks to me like it's probably not going to backtest until we make a new high, only because we've already cleared out all this crap over here. It's really tough to call a number, but
okay, because the reason I was
I'll preface it. It's a higher percentage when the low down here is a high time frame demand zone.
Okay.
Not only a 60. We're talking about weekly, daily. It's likely that the first level of resistance breaks. More likely. Because we're so way down on this curve over here, right? We're way down. We've hit a fresh demand zone from a higher time frame. It's unlikely that a 60-minute zone that isn't even fresh is going to stop the buyers down here from the weekly chart. It's unlikely. It's more likely to break through the top.
So the other question I was going to ask you is, it seemed like that thing's been flagging, it flagged from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., and that kind of makes me feel more like it's going to be a rally-based rally.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is going to break, but it doesn't mean you miss the trade. Even if it goes like this, the supply is right here. You're going to need a higher low still. It's going to happen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So don't worry about, even if you miss this, wait for the pullback. It's going to come.
Okay.
Okay? All right?
Thanks.
You got it. Remember that I mentioned before that when we break zones, the next zone gets stronger. So even if you miss this piece, okay, you missed it. It's going to come back. You're going to get a new high and then after that, so don't worry about it. Okay? Next. Yes, Naranjan.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Hey, continuing on Eddie's question, if now it makes a higher high on the EC, say at 1.0400, and then makes a lower low, so that would still be like a run of stops, and you would play along for the lower high, right? So it makes a higher high.
It goes up to here. Goes up to here.
And then makes a and then makes a lower low.
Over here.
No,
right?
all the way below that.
Lower, all the way.
Yeah.
Downtrend. No problem. Yeah.
So you would still go long and you still go long and play for a lower high, or you would just look for shorts at that point?
If it does this and breaks the bottom.
Yeah,
once it breaks the bottom, I can't take the longs anymore. It has to start to show me it has to build a new bottom again.
On the lower time frame, right? The 5.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, Eddie, what's up?
Quick question on the 60-minute, the same one you're looking at right now. Because it's so crappy in terms of the way it goes down, where do you consider your high, your higher high? Would it have to be above 120.83 for you to consider a higher high on a 60, or above the 120.40 area?
Yeah, no. For the next pivot high, I think where's the pivot high over here, right? So this has just been touched all over the place. I think we need to break this zone. It's one of these highs over here that looks like it. This is all garbage. Yeah.
The only reason I'm asking that is because you had a new low that came
around
the 120.40 area.
Yeah, 120.40. Yes.
So I would have thought that you'd put the high right a little below right around 120.40. No,
I know. I just want to say I know, but I'm just saying like this. Remember that doesn't matter when we go this way until we get the higher low. The trend's not going to change. So the move up, the higher high is going to actually start here.
Right.
Wherever this ends, that's going to be the high.
The reason I'm asking that is because the gentleman just before me said, if you have
like
a
this
lower low, exactly. Yeah. See, the peak of that, I think if you get it at 120.50, let's say, you have a higher high. Yeah, if it breaks that, if it gets there, comes back down, you have a lower low, it still could be a turnaround because you've got a higher high and you have a higher low.
That's why I'm trying to comment. I disagree with you. I'll tell you why.
No, that was the question.
Right. The answer. For me. Right. When I'm looking at the trend, in order for trend to turn around, there has to be the higher high before the higher low before the higher high, not after. You have to have the higher low first. So if it goes like this, it's still a downtrend until it pulls back. It creates a higher low. Then the pivot we need to break to change the trend is this.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You got to have the higher low first. Okay.
Yeah.
Next. Okay. Cool. All right. Loic, you have a question. Go ahead.
Based on what you've just said, how do you take into account the 50%, with 50 MA? So let's say that the 50 MA on the 60 is showing that the trend has changed, but you don't have, the higher low, the higher high being broken. What's the trend then, and what do you look at?
Right. So again, for me, the 50 moving average is the secondary method for trend identification. I'm always looking at pivots first, and if I see a downtrend with my pivots, I don't care about the 50. I know this is in a downtrend. I see it already. So I'm not using the 50 MA. I'm only using it more when we're chopping around. You can't tell which way the trend is going. Then I'll default to my secondary method, which is the price has to be below the EMA, and the EMA pointing down in order for it to be a downtrend, and the opposite for it to be an uptrend. This, by the way, is flat. There's no clue. This is not showing trend, right? The pivots are showing a downtrend, but the EMA is not, because we're flattening out over here. And that's also sort of because obviously we're basing, and likely that we pop through the top. So again, if you're looking only at the EMA, if you need to determine for yourself which method you're using. When for me, my rules are simple. A, it's pivots. If I can't figure it out with the pivot, then I'll use the 50. But for you, if you like to use the 50 as your default, then for you, this is still not an uptrend or a downtrend at this point, right? Because you don't have both criteria necessary. You're under the EMA, but the EMA is not pointing down; it's flat. See?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem. Let's go on. Wow, today's a extra long session, so that's cool. We're only halfway through. JY. Where are we looking at on the yen this week? So continued some weakness on the yen. We had the base drop off the highs back there. It was like a breakout that got fake out, and we're coming back into now the area down here where we should start to see the next turnaround, which means we should get down there. Okay, I think we're going to see one more push down. This you can see we've come back to test the supply over here. You can see that, right? And I think we're going to see this. Okay, that's what I think we're going to see over here. A little turnaround coming, and one more low for yen. Let's take a look over here. So the 240 doesn't really have a higher low, right? The trend is down. And that's what I'm saying. Again, pullback. Do we break the bottom? I think we do, but we'll know better when we get down here. So that's pretty much a given. We should see the pullback. If it's going to turn around, that's where it's going to turn around from. And if it's not, it's just going to, push down into this demand. That one will get us going back the other way. So a weakness in the yen is what I'm seeing here. Let's take a look. Yeah, so we did turn the 60 around over here. We broke up into some supply. It looks like we have a lower high over here. We've got a shitload of air under here. They're very likely to back test into this sucker, and that's pretty much where the 240 bottom that I'm talking about that we would need for the 240 to turn its trend is somewhere down here. So there's going to be a pullback over here, and whatever happens here will tell us what's going to be with the yen. If this level is able to hold, we'll turn around and make new highs, and if it's not, we're going to break the bottom. But that's the target for now, and we're sitting in the air, so it's a pretty decent looking trade. Yeah. Okay, there's the 15 chart. Supply over here, and we got these lows sitting under here. You can see there's a lot of room under this sucker. So yeah, short yen for now until we make our way down into these zones, and then we'll have to see if we get a turnaround or not. Okay. Aussie dollar. I think we've gotten a really strong sell-off. We got 3.5 months so far of straight down, drop base, drop base, drop. We took out the last pivot, so this double top right over here has sort of played out. We were able to break it. We usually should be getting to the origin, which is still a little bit lower, but being that we've landed in some higher time frame demand already and we're outside bands and we're overstretched, there's the little back test. I think, again, we do something like this, and then we make our way down here, and that's where we start to make a big move back out. You can see over here, that 7473 area, 7323. It's monthly, weekly. That's going to look like the next pop coming from there. So I think we still see a little bit more, strength up into the supply, into the doji on the daily, and then we get a turnover. We hit this demand zone. So for now, it looks like we have a little bit more room to go. We do have the higher low. Notice that the AD already has a higher low on the 240 as opposed to the yen that didn't, right? We pushed up into supply. We sold off. We've turned around. We've come back to the zone. So that should break. Right, and that should get us up into this. So they're looking like Aussie is a little bit stronger. Right, we should be getting up higher here, and target into this 76 and change area, where then we'll take the shorts up there. So let's take a look here on our 60. What that shows us looks like the 60 does have a sort of uptrend already. Right? We definitely have some pivots going on over here. So there was our bottom, we rallied up, we have a higher low here, and then we made higher highs, and another higher low, and another higher high, and then we pulled back. We took out this one, but we're still in an uptrend, rallied back up, and again, this level should break. So we're looking at additional strength to the top, and then supply up there on the 240 that'll give us a pullback. So it looks like all longs for now on Aussie, on the lower time frames up into that supply zone on the 240 chart. Okay. That's what we're looking at for Aussie. Let's look at pounds. wicked sell-off on the pounds over the last, couple of weeks. After making that new recent high, we just get clobbered. It looks like we're heading back into this demand. We landed in daily demand over here, in fresh daily demand. And that double top is done. That is the finish of it, right? We had this double top going on. There was our middle. We got back to the origin of the move. And now we should start to see this thing rally out, okay? Well, we did get sort of a hammer on Friday. We'll have to see what that looks like on some of the lower time frames. But I'm going to call for a bounce of pounds out of this area. It's just way, 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 way oversold, really strong. It needs to backtest at least this zone, at least here, potentially even here. So for now, the target would be a bounce back into this area for the pounds, okay? Let's take a look if we see the turnaround starting already or not. There's our 60, there's our 240. So we get a pair of twins, but clearly not anywhere near a higher low yet. So we still need, a push up and a pullback with a higher low. So the pounds, 240 is not shown the beginning of this turnaround yet. How about the 60? No, either. But guess what? This might be a really nice swing long. All right, so let's take a look here. There's our low. We know that level is daily. And we've got a pretty nice push up. Looks like we back tested to the area that we broke down, which is going to be a supply zone in a smaller time frame. We'll look at it. It looks like we're pulling back. If, I don't know, but if we turn around somewhere over here and make a higher low, that's going to be a long swing entry, aiming back to the 240 supply zone. So let's go take a look here on this 15 and see what we got going on. So there's the rally. It looks like the supply that we tested was not even a 15. It's probably something even smaller than that. Something over here, the back test of the breakout of the lows, you can see that. Looks like it was a demand area over here, right? And it made this lower high, and then we broke down through it, and now we're back testing into it. I'm sure if I go down to a small time frame, we will see a supply zone here. We're pulling back. There's demand sitting right here. As this creates a higher low right here, that's going to be the 15-minute higher low that's going to give us that one for the 60. That gives us something all the way up here. So this is going to be a really nice long trade if, and again, it's an if, we are able to hold the demand. I'm going to put the level on the chart for you right now. We need to hold this level, not the bottom that's here already, but this level over here that would create a higher low right here. That's it. So if we're able to hold this bottom right here, we hit this zone and we start turning around, it's a long trade, okay? And it's going to give us a target of something really nice because, the 60, the fresh 60 supply would have to be the target because the 60 is not in an uptrend yet. So we're counting on this becoming a higher low. We would have to aim for, for this. Still a nice trade, 100-something ticks, and after that, we'll get one more pullback, and then that's the big one. I mean, this is a lot of room up here into this zone. And that's definitely a place you want to exit any longs. Very, very strong supply. So for now, potential long trade sitting over here. Okay, we'll watch as that plays out tomorrow. See what happens. Canadian has been basing for 2 weeks now. Okay, and this is really nice because when you get such tight range, you know that the breakout of the range is going to be brutal, going to be extremely violent when it breaks from this area. Look at what we're looking at over here on the weekly chart. We're in a downtrend. We've rallied up. We have another lower high. So we've come back to demand. And what should happen here? Well, that's the problem. We don't know. This can either become a higher low, or we're just going to break down through the bottom. And that's what this indecision is. Are we turning the trend around here, or are we going to continue? And that's what the hell is going on over here. So whichever way it breaks, it's going to be violent, because if it breaks down through here, we're going to make new lows. And if it breaks up from here into the air, we're going through these, we're going to make new highs. Right? So right now, if you're a range trader, you're having a party just selling the supply and buying the demand. and when it breaks out, that's the level we're going to want to take it with. Okay, so I have not been trading Canadian at all. I don't like trading ranges, but some people love it. It depends on on your nature. You have to know yourself, and you can see that the supply up here has worked multiple times. The demand underneath has worked many multiple times as well. And until we break out of this sucker, I'm not trading Canadian. I'm just going to tell you that whichever way we go, it's going to be freaking violent. That much I can tell you. Which means you want to, when we start to break there, use a lower time frame level back test into the direction of the break. When it gets to that first level of whatever it is, demand, supply, depending which way it breaks, take that trade in that direction and just let it go for a little bit. It's a higher time frame trade. You're trading, these higher time frame breakout areas. There's a ton of air above us. Take a look on the daily chart and how much room is here, how much room is here. Whichever way it goes, it's going. Okay, so that's what we're looking at on Canadian. So it's for me, it's a sit tight till it goes. For you, it could be trade the range until it goes. It's up to you. All right, copper. Building a little wedge again over here on the weekly chart. We started to sell off and we had a pretty nice bounce. We ended up creating a higher low. You can see the higher low on the daily chart again. So, let's take a look up here. All right. We were in a downtrend over here, and there's the turnaround. There's the pivot. There's the higher low that's starting. So if we continue this way, expect this to pop and potentially create an uptrend on the daily chart. Right now it's still down, but it is turning around right here with a higher low. Okay, and take a look over here on this 240. It's very clear, very clear, really symmetrical, clean. No question over here what I'm seeing, right? You see the little inverted head and shoulders over here, and then the break into the air. We hit some lower time frame supply. We come back to the demand zone. We're creating another higher low here. For all you guys that were asking about this is a downtrend. This is still a downtrend. This is still a downtrend. And right here, if we start going this way, which we started, is the pivot, which means it's going to stay in a downtrend until we get above this. But this is starting to turn around, and therefore on the lower time frame, I'm probably in an uptrend already. And I can start to take longs with the anticipation that we're going to get all the way here. We got to go look at the lower time frame, Eddie. Okay, this was your question, Eddie, I think. So this is really clear. Okay, let me answer you. Yeah. Go ahead, Eddie.
Hi. The 240, don't you have a higher low immediately? Like
your lower high, this thing you're talking about right here.
You're on a downtrend. No, I'm saying if you're on a downtrend, you're looking for the first higher low.
Rally, base, rally.
Do you consider that a base?
That is definitely a base. No, this is definitely, nope, this is a base. This is a base. For me, when I'm going to talk about continued direction or, control, change of control, I need 3 candles in a row of the same color. So over here I have 2 reds and then a green. So this is just basing. Rally, base, rally.
Okay, so you want 3 red candles.
I want 3 red candles at least, or it has to be like something like this, where I have no doubt that who's in control over here. You know what I mean? It could be 1 or 2 if they're giant, but when they're just like chopping around, you need 3. You need 3. Okay, like this over here, this would be a pivot over here, right? Because I have over here 1, 2, 3 candles over here. See this? Okay, but it can't be a doubt of who's in control. This is just buying pressure. Oops, I just moved my demand zone. This is just buying pressure over here. Rally, base, 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 because we're hitting the supply and it's sitting over here. Base, 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 base. The buyers win. So the sellers really didn't take control till up here. This is where they took control. So they pushed back into this area.
With the 240 candle closing on what you consider a higher low, wouldn't that give you
right? So now, yeah.
So
that's true.
Go to a smaller time frame.
That's correct. So we're going to do it right now. Exactly right. I'm going to do it right now. We're going to go look at the lower time frames and see if they're in an uptrend, if we want to be in over here. That's what should be happening over here. Okay. So let's go look. Okay. Stay with me. Stay with me. Let's go see. Okay. So there's the 240. Let's look at the 60. Okay. And the 60 is in an uptrend. Okay. It's already in an uptrend. Here's our pivot. Oh, I take it back. Rally, base, rally. That's the base, Eddie, that you were talking about on the 240. And there's our higher low, but we didn't get the higher high yet. We actually got a lower high. Okay.
Yeah, your 3-candle rule really helps because I would have thought that was a low, but it's not.
Okay.
It's a base.
It's not. Yes, correct. Okay. And now we're turning around again over here. All right. So this is opening up a lot of air because this is cleaned out supply here. If we start rallying out of this area, this is a V. This area right here, see it? We've got a ton of air over here, and we know that if this was already used, this is the target. I mean, this has got a really nice long low over here. And this would give us that 240 uptrend. The minute we clear this pivot, we're in uptrend on the 240 as well. So, bam. This is a long trade setting up right now. Okay, we have to see how this opens tonight. We can't have this do this. We have to make sure that we start pushing up, and then we'll use a lower time frame to get in and start to ride it up into this sucker. Be careful with copper.
So based on this chart, on this chart, you would have got in probably around 1300 on Friday, 1300 time, 1 p.m.
Yeah, somewhere around over here on a lower time frame. I would start.
You would have got off your T1, and then you would have got stopped out late Friday.
That's correct. This is Thursday, but yeah, this is Friday.
That's what I'm saying. Thursday around 1 p.m. you would have got in. And
I did take this, but that's what I did. I did trade this over here on Thursday, and I got stopped out on Friday morning, something
right
like
below
that.
the wick there.
Yeah, right under here.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what
great. Thanks.
Yep. Loic, yeah, go ahead, man.
Joe?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so you've got a higher low that's being made on that chart, and then it's broken by another higher low. So yeah, you see, okay, right there. That's the first one, and then the second one.
This is the low. Anything above here is going to become the higher low. I don't care where it is. Right now I had one.
That's okay, so stop here. So you have this one, and then you have a second one. My question is, once that first higher low is broken by the second one, what's the pivot above that needs to be broken? Is it at 310 or 312?
To create the higher high, you're saying, yes.
Exactly. Is it this one or the one above?
This
exactly.
Okay.
Which one is it?
Yes, I understand your question. And what I'm looking at, what I will see is that where did price leave off the bottom? When I'm calling this the low, then this is the pivot that turned us back down. Wherever I stop over here, I don't care where I stop as long as it's above this, which means the pivot I need to clear is this. This is the move up. Now I'm pulling back. As long as I stop before the bottom and I turn around somewhere over here, then the pivot I need to break is this.
So 310 you ignore. You still be, once it breaks 310, you're still in a downtrend.
That's correct. It can go like this. It's not in an uptrend until I get through this.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. All right. Wow. A lot of education this week. That's cool. Like that. That's good. Let's look at soy, and then we're going to wrap it up. Actually, we'll do the bonds quickly also. So soy is just in a range, unfortunately. We had a really nice setup, and it just didn't work. It's as simple as that. It was unable to continue the rally, and we're ranging over here on the weekly chart, on the daily chart. We're still holding this level. On the 240, it's looking like we're going to actually break down further again. So the longs are dead for now. Unfortunately, on Friday, we were unable to continue the rally, and we ended up breaking down, turned the lower time frames into a downtrend. So for now, soy is just sit and wait and see what the hell's going on over here. There's our 60, and we had a big pop up, pull back, we make a lower high, and we're sitting with this thing over here. It looks like we're in the air. We have another lower high that's formed over here. This should break, and that's it. So I'm not getting long, I'm not getting short, I'm not doing anything with soy right now until I figure out which way it wants to go. For now, it's just sit and watch, okay? And if something develops, I'll let you know. So leave soy alone. Let's go look at the bonds. We had a really strong sell-off a couple of weeks back. Boom, boom, boom. We make a new low. We hit a hammer, and we're able to close above the hammer. Very bullish signal on a weekly chart. That's what we're seeing over here, right? We broke through supply, drop, base drop. We break through it. We back tested through it, and now we're looking at air up here. Okay, the 240 is in an uptrend. Okay, and now we're looking at, we're looking at a room to clear. So if we turn around again over here, we should be getting through this. There's a nice supply zone sitting over here. I'll show it to you in a second. But that would be the target for now, which means that, it looks like interest rates actually going down. right? Bond prices going up means the rates are going down, not anymore up. Which means they probably priced in a little more than they expected. And let's see how this plays out for us. Here's our 60 chart. We're definitely in an uptrend, no question about that. There's the supply that's sitting up above us up here. So pullbacks into demand are okay to go for longs. That's what we're looking at over here. I would say once we get up here into this area, we're probably going to start to break down further and eventually, test this area down here. Has not been tested yet, and that's what we're looking at. So push up into the, let's call it 144.5 area, potential for this week on the bonds. Okay. Yeah, Loic.
Hey, Joe, it's not we're getting to the answer. It's not a question, it's a comment. I just wanted to know that I wanted to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
That video has actually been longer than before, but I don't know. It seems that others as well, but it's great to actually have a mixture of market analysis and some education. I know it was triggered by Eddie's fantastic question, but going forward, you can actually just put like a bit of education. I mean, that call was just, that video was unbelievable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So for me, the only way you're going to get that, not because I don't want to give it to you, is you need to ask the questions. So don't be embarrassed to ask, because that's what you're going to get out of me when you ask. Because I don't know what people do know and what people don't know. I don't know what you know already. So I don't want to waste people's time. If somebody asks a question and it triggers the education, I have no problem giving it. It's my pleasure. So please just ask, and you'll get something like that every week. Okay. Other than that,
and thanks to Eddie, because he's the one that triggered that, and it was just amazing education.
You got it. I'll prepare the video for you guys, and I'll send it out in email in a little while. Everyone else have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for our weekly webinar again. Okay. Everyone have a great day. Take care, guys.